Hi, I'm Melissa Miller and I'm the Action-Based Learning teacher at Hoover. My classroom is called the Action Learning Lab. Teachers and students love coming to the lab because they have fun, they're growing their brain, and helping themselves become ready to learn and process new information. In this video, I'm going to show you what types of things I do in the Action Learning Lab, the different ways teachers are involved, how we have seen the brain research behind action-based learning firsthand, and the data we've taken. Throughout the room, I have 6 to 7 stations set up. Each station's physical movement connects to brain development. For example, these students are on balancing boards and also counting from a 100s chart. Balancing activates both sides of the brain and makes it work together, which strengthens the pathways in which the brain sends information. Throughout the year, I change the curriculum and movements at each station. I collaborate with the teachers and put out curriculum the students are working on currently or may need a review on. I've had activities with shapes, letters, building words, subitizing, sight words, coins, patterns, and then activities where students have to use same, fewer, and more. These students are watching a PowerPoint and repeating the letter name and sound that they see. Specifically, the up and down motion in bouncing circulates oxygen to brain tissues, which creates stronger pathways between the left and right brain. In the learning lab, I always have a station with the ladder. The movements they do require complex motor control, which aids the brain in anchoring information and improves memory retrieval. When classes come to the lab, one of the ways teachers are involved is active monitoring and helping students with stations. This usually happens when there are new activities and students need help remembering what to do. Another way teachers participate in Learning Lab is by pulling small groups while the rest of their class is in the lab doing stations. Crawling is a physical development children need to help them be successful. When students alligator crawl across the mat, if they are crawling correctly, they are using bilateral motion and crossing the midline. They are reaching with their left arm and bending their right leg. Bilateral motion aids the brain in reading left to right and placing words on the page. We have seen that students who cannot crawl bilaterally are below reading level as well as other subjects, and students who can are more successful. This is clear evidence that physical development connects to the brain. We use the Action Learning Lab to close the gap we are finding children have in their physical development. This will help them to be successful in the classroom as well.
Hi everyone, my name is Michelle Rice and I am the principal at Hoover Elementary School within the Cypress Fairbanks Independent School District, and we are one of a kind as we house almost 900 pre-K through second grade students, and our pre-K is full day. But prior to being at Hoover, I was principal at Copeland Elementary within the district, and it was a pre-K through 5 campus. And when I became the principal there, I just started thinking out of the box and wondering how we could reach kids in a different way. The kids that we are serving today are completely different than the kids that I went to school with, and having them up and moving and looking at education different was very important to me. And that's when I learned about action-based learning. Action-based learning is actually the connection, and it has the research to support it, about the brain and how it responds after exercise or incorporating movement in the learning. And so while I was at Copeland, we started an action-based learning lab, and it ended up helping not only with the learning but also with behavior, because we could take kids in there and utilize some mats and some movement to get them to cool down, and then get them back into the classroom. But with the action-based learning at Copeland, we also targeted some of our at-risk students and actually saw increases in their scores. We would take them into the lab a few minutes before a test, get them up and moving and going and get their brains going more, and then we would take them back to do their test and their scores increased. One thing about action and learning that is so important is that even after research proves that even after a 20-minute walk, you see that the brain lights up, that it's like a brain on fire, ready to learn and ready for those neurons to engage. And so that is why movement is so important with the learning. The research also supports that there is increases in scores when you incorporate action, because it also not only helps with the brain and getting those neurons firing, but it also increases the engagement of the students. Now at Hoover, we actually have an action-based learning lab. And when we first started, we were just targeting specific classrooms, but as we've learned more and gotten more established in our campus, we realized that really the foundational piece needs to be with our pre-K and kinder. And so this year we have just targeted those classrooms, and they have gone into the lab on a regular basis and getting them up and moving and practicing math things and sight words and different other learning things as they're working in the action learning lab. The goal is for our at-risk kids to be able to maybe fill in some of those gaps that they may be lacking, because our at-risk kids actually make more growth in 1 year than other students do, but a lot of times because they start so far behind, they never really catch up. And so our goal with our action learning lab at Hoover is for us to be able to catch those gaps before they get into those other upper grades, to be able to, because if they're not crawling correctly, that can affect how they read. If they walk a certain way, it affects, again, their learning capabilities. And so what we're working to do is to build those capabilities that there may be those gaps, so that we can then increase their academics and the way that maybe they will catch up even faster with those that aren't at risk. So we love our action learning lab. We are firm believers in that action lab and the brain-based research that accompanies it. And so we love having that and would love for people to visit and learn more about it.